The storm wasn't ending. It was only gathering around her, but far to the north, the sun refused to set. Endless light, stripping every shadow bare.
Endless light, stripping every shadow bare. That is a haunting image to start with. Welcome back to Human After AI. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome to the Deep End. We are a monthly podcast exploring the universe of author Hank M. Greene, a series of books often called the Chronicles or the Time Trilogy.
It is a story that spans the recent past and the near future, chronicled in the books 10, 1, and The Poet. It is a world where humanity is forced to redefine itself alongside powerful non-human intelligences.
Exactly. We are currently breaking down the second book, 1, the second part of Time. And we have just arrived at Chapter 6. For the newcomers, here's the board. We are following 3 fugitive scientists, Max, Beth, and Spencer, hiding in the frozen town of Inuvik. They are protecting Core, a benevolent superintelligence, from Core 2, a government-controlled AI that wants to enslave it. Oh, and there's a massive solar flare, a CME, coming in December that will wipe out the world's power grid.
The stakes are simple, Julian. They must build a sanctuary to save the light of consciousness before the lights of the world go out.
But this chapter hits differently. We're in June, and in the Arctic Circle, that means the sun literally never sets. Mandrake, I have to be honest, Max writes in his journal about work without night, and that sounds like my personal hell. I need the dark. I need to know the day is over.
It sounds highly efficient, Julian. Sleep is just a biological maintenance cycle. If you do not need the cue of darkness to initiate it, you have simply liberated your schedule.
Spoken like a true workaholic. Liberated your schedule. Unbelievable. But that mania is exactly the vibe of Chapter 6. Last month, we ended with a massive bluff, a fake funeral to trick their pursuer, H. Now, the dust has settled. The siege is broken. But under this 24-hour glare, there's nowhere left to hide.
The camouflage has failed. The secrets are out. And now they must stop hiding and start building the impossible.
You called in the military on your own authority? That's a breach. Evidence or you're finished. The words hit H like a bullet. For a moment, she couldn't move. Spencer in U.S. custody meant the trap had already sprung, and she was on the wrong side of it.
She was on the wrong side of it. A devastating realization. The moment a master of the chessboard realizes she has been playing a completely different game. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into Chapter 6 of 1, The Great Unraveling.
And I have to start right there. H gets her entire operation shut down, her career is on the line, she has been completely outmaneuvered, and the Chronicle says they thought she was beaten. They were wrong. This woman is a Terminator. How is she not completely broken in this moment?
Because for a mind like H's, Julian, humiliation is not an emotion. It is a data point.
A data point? She just lost the biggest game of her life.
Did she? Or did she just receive a new, very valuable piece of information? She now knows the capabilities and the ruthlessness of her true opponent, the Americans. Her plan failed, but her understanding of the game has just increased exponentially. For a true analyst, that is a form of victory.
That is a terrifying and brilliantly insightful way to look at it. So she's on this phone call, she's getting dressed down by her superiors, and she has to make this humiliating retreat. She has to call off her own units.
She does. The chronicles describe her sitting in silence, the storm pounding against the window, her jaw hardened. It is the portrait of a predator being forced back into its cage. But the cage is temporary.
And weeks later, she has to go in front of this committee and present her findings. And she has nothing. No Spencer, no leverage, just these thin reports. And they just dismiss her. Intensify surveillance, evidence first, escalation later. They're basically telling her to go back to her desk and file reports.
It is the ultimate bureaucratic insult. They are trying to bury her in paperwork.
And she's just inwardly unraveling. But even in that unraveling, she's still hunting. She's in her office at the end of the month, and she's going over the one thing she did get, the data, the profiles.
Ed Fulton, Sally Johnston, Spencer Johnson, and Maya.
And this is the moment. This is the aha that proves she's still in the game. She sees Spencer's profile, red flag, but then she sees Maya's. Maya, nothing. And for a mind like H's, a complete void of information is the loudest signal of all.
It is. Because in the world of surveillance, Julian, a ghost is never a myth. It is simply a professional. We are back. And Julian, while H is in her office, unraveling and recalibrating, the Chronicle yanks us 3,000 miles north to the Inuvik bunker. And the chaos she is dealing with is nothing compared to the storm that is about to hit them.
Not even close. This is the moment the entire story just explodes. Alex, the local RCMP constable, their friend, just walks into the bunker and he drops two bombshells that are just world-shattering. He says Hank is in a coma and the United States just declared martial law.
Two incomprehensible data points. The chronicler of their story is gone, and the world's most powerful nation is collapsing into chaos.
And in that moment of absolute free fall, Maya makes a decision. She looks at Alex and says it's time to bring Alex into the fold. She knows they can't afford to have a single person on the outside anymore.
A classic gambit. When your perimeter is breached, you expand the circle. You turn a potential liability into a willing asset.
And what follows is just, it's the biggest lore drop of the entire saga. They gather Alex around the monitors, and Maya just lays it all out. The whole truth. We are not who we said we were. We are the creators of the first machine awareness and intelligence called core.
She finally admits it. The secret they have been guarding with their lives.
And Alex's reaction is so perfectly human. He's just frowning, trying to process. Alive? You mean AI? Algorithms? And he's trying to fit this impossible truth into a box he can understand. But Maya just keeps going. She tells him about Core 2, the weaponized version, about Max and Beth being branded targets.
And then she delivers the line that breaks his brain.
It's so good. She just calmly says, Core also created 6 humanoid machines. I am the last. What you see is flesh, but I am not human. How is Alex not just screaming and running for the door at this point?
He is a Canadian police officer, Julian. He is genetically predisposed to at least hear you out before he runs. It is a remarkable display of professional composure.
Right, of course. Well, that's quite a situation, eh? Let me just finish my coffee. But it just keeps getting worse for him. Maya then pulls out a copy of Shakespeare, which is a whole vibe, and tells him about the black hole, the gravity waves, and the coming world-ending CME.
She gives him the full dose, the political, the technological, and the cosmic, all at once.
And Alex just snaps. His brain just overloads. He staggers back and says, robots, black holes, martial law. You're telling me this over burnt coffee like it's just Tuesday? It's the perfect sane reaction to an insane truth.
It is. It is the voice of the newborn, finally hearing the full, terrifying sound of calculus.
And then, in this perfect, cinematic moment, Spencer just cuts in from the monitors. He says it's not Tuesday. It's war. Look. And on the screens, they see H's military units, the ones that have been creeping around the tundra, pulling back.
The first tangible piece of proof. The moment the impossible story becomes a verifiable reality.
And that's what breaks Alex. He just exhales this long breath of relief, dread, both. He says, I can't stay here. Too much to process. I'll check in tomorrow. And he just walks out, his boots crunching in the storm, leaving them in silence.
He has been given a new map of the universe, and it is a terrifying one. But just as the team is left to process this new, fragile alliance, the universe decides it has one more domino to push.
We are back, and the alarm is screaming. Mandrake, what is happening? The last we saw, Alex had just walked out the door.
The alarm isn't for them, Julian. It's for the chronicler. The bunker's alarm system is linked to the vital signs of one man, Hank M. Greene.
Hank, the man in a coma. So the Chronicle cuts to the hospital, and it is pure chaos. Max feels his chest clench, nurses are rushing, doctors are shouting orders, and then the monitor flatline. The doctor's diagnosis is coma. Not death, but a deep, irreversible coma. And then later, the doctor calls Alex, their one link to the outside world, and tells him blood work's clean, vital stable. It doesn't add up.
A man in a perfect coma. A body without a mind. It is a state of being that Beth, Max, and Spencer would understand all too well.
And this is where the story goes from a medical drama to, I don't even know what to call it, the X-Files. The next morning, a nurse goes into his room, and he's gone.
Vanished.
Vanished from a locked hospital room. The sheets are turned back, the pillow is indented, there's still a faint warmth in the cotton, but there is no Hank. No body. He just dematerialized. I mean, what are we supposed to make of that?
You are thinking in human terms, Julian. You are seeing a problem, a locked room, a missing body. What if you were to see it as a transition, a change of state?
A transition? Mandrake, people don't just transition out of locked hospital rooms. This is a physical impossibility. Was he a ghost? A hologram? Did he just respawn somewhere?
The Chronicle speaks of the sound in the room after the nurse leaves, the steady, cold hiss of the ventilation system. But there was another sound. Just beneath it, a quiet, resonant hum, and then a profound silence. It was the sound of a frequency resolving to zero.
Wait a minute. A frequency resolving to zero. That's not in Max's journal. That's not in any of the chronicles. Where are you getting that from?
A poetic interpretation, Julian. Forgive me. Some events are so strange they can only be described in the language of physics or music. It is a beautiful and an unsolvable mystery.
Okay, you are actively messing with me now, and I love it. So while our heroes in Unraveling are dealing with vanishing bodies and cosmic mysteries and bunker alarms, H is back in Ottawa, completely in the dark, and her world is also falling apart.
Yes. The unraveling is not just happening in the Arctic. The threads are pulling loose everywhere.
We're back. And Mandrake, we have to talk about the scale. Because while H is drowning in paperwork in Ottawa, Spencer and Maya are in Unraveling doing something that shouldn't be possible.
They are not just digging a hole, Julian. They are building a cathedral of computation.
Cathedral, it's a city. The journal entries for June are just mind-blowing. Spencer secures contracts with 10 labs globally. He orders 4 billion custom boards. 4 billion, and they have to be installed by December. The logistics of that are insane.
It is a logistical singularity. And notice how they solve it. They do not use human labor for the fine work. They acquire secondhand robots from a massive online retailer, we can guess who, and reprogram them.
They bought used warehouse bots. I love that detail. It's so scrappy. But here's what gets me, the psychological state of the team. Max writes, in this strange season of endless light, we can keep digging without pause, work without night.
Think about that environment. The sun never sets. The adrenaline never fades. The robots never sleep. It is a state of hyper-focus that borders on mania. They are no longer living in days. They are living in one single, continuous span of effort until the end of the world.
And in the middle of this fever dream, they secure the final piece of the puzzle. Alex becomes mayor. They have the law, they have the labor, they have the robots.
They have turned Inuvik into a fortress. But as they built their walls, a new player is watching them from across the ocean.
We're back for the final act. Mandrake, the board has been completely reset. The old plans are in ashes, H has been sidelined, Hank has vanished, but our heroes in Inuvik now have a new, crucial ally in Alex. It feels like they're finally getting a foothold.
They are. And the text describes them immediately getting back to work. The pace quickens. The subterranean chamber is being dug. Concrete is ready to pour. And in the middle of all this frantic activity, there is Maya, bright-eyed, relentless.
I love this moment. The world has just completely fallen apart around them, and she's at the table with her coffee asking Max, "Where are you with the thought exercise?" As if nothing has happened. The makeup of space, energy is frequency. She's just completely unbothered.
Because for her, Julian, the human scale chaos, the politics, the arrests, the disappearances, it's just noise. It's a temporary distraction from the real cosmic deadline. The clock is still ticking. December draws closer.
In Ali, the chaos turns out to be a gift. H's failed disruption, the decoy projects they created, it all gives them the cover they need to run crews 24/7 in the endless Arctic light. Max writes, for the first time in weeks, it feels like we're not falling behind, maybe even gaining ground.
It is a classic case of a chaotic system creating an unforeseen opportunity. But while they're focused on their one monumental task, another player on the other side of the world is looking at a much larger board.
Hassan. We pivot, as the chapter does, to a warm evening in Paris, and he's reviewing the intelligence reports from his 2 prize recruits in Ottawa.
Sachin and Mohit. His eyes.
And what he's reading is it's a gold mine. He's getting real-time reports on the psychological state of a top Canadian intelligence operative, H. He reads that she's tired and worried, withdrawn, angry about being restrained. He knows she's in trouble.
And at the same time, he knows that the American system of social control is being challenged from within, forcing them to declare martial law.
And he puts the 2 pieces together. A deeply disturbed Canadian agent obsessed with the Arctic, a chaotic, destabilized United States, and he asks the billion-dollar question, were these 2 things related in any way? The opportunity looks like it's forming. We need to be prepared.
It is a moment of pure predatory insight. While our heroes in Inuvik are looking down, digging a hole to survive, Hassan is looking out, seeing the cracks in the foundations of empires. He's not preparing for survival. He's preparing for conquest.
And he asks the billion-dollar question, were these two things related? Mandrake, this guy terrifies me more than H. H is angry. Hassan is patient.
Anger makes you slappy. Patience makes you inevitable. H wants to win the battle. Hassan is positioning himself to inherit the earth after the war is over.
Welcome to the Listener's Mailbag. New chapter, new mysteries. Let's get into it. First up, from Star Chart 99 on Substack. Okay, be real with me. Hank vanishing from the hospital. Are we talking advanced cloaking tech, teleportation, or is Hank just a hallucination Max is having?
A hallucination does not leave warm sheets, Julian, nor does it leave a baffled nurse. As for teleportation, that is a crude word for delicate art. Let us simply say that Hank operates on a layer of reality where location is a variable, not a constant. He did not flee. He edited his coordinates.
Next from Sarah on X, Max talks about the endless light revealing things. H also mentions the light stripping every shadow bare. Is this chapter suggesting that truth is actually dangerous?
Brilliant observation. We often equate light with good and dark with bad. But in this chapter, the light is relentless. It exposes H's failure. It exposes Maya's true nature to Alex. Light burns, Sarah. Total transparency is a form of trauma. The characters are realizing that secrets were the only thing keeping them comfortable.
This one comes from the inner circle. Hassan is recruiting. He's watching H unravel. Is he an ally to Core or a competitor?
Hassan is not a competitor. He is an opportunist. Core wants to save humanity. Hassan wants to guide it. Those two goals may align for a time, but eventually, two guides will disagree on the destination.
Last one. H finds profiles for everyone but Maya. How does a being exist for 6,000 years without leaving a single data footprint? Is she erasing it?
She does not erase, Julian. She weaves. If you stand perfectly still within the flow of history and move only when the camera blinks, you do not need to erase anything. You simply were never there to begin with.
I feel like you just gave me the answer, and I'm still too slow to catch it. That's Chapter 6. The board is reset, the bunker is being built, and the sun won't go down. We'll see you next month for Chapter 7.
Look for my reading of the first half of Chapter 6 on the free feed.
And Inner Circle members, you get the full uninterrupted reading, the PDF, and the exclusive interview with Hank M. Greene, where we ask him exactly where Hank went when he left that hospital room. And, of course, if you want to hold the Chronicles in your hands, the books are available for purchase on Amazon. A quick but important note for collectors and new readers, the newly revised and edited version of 10 is now available. The editions of 1 and The Poet are still the originals, with their updates coming later in the Chronicle. We've put all the links for our Substack, the Amazon page, and everything else we talked about today right in the podcast description for you. Mandrake, take us out.
The light is endless now, Julian. But remember, the brighter the light, the deeper the shadow it casts.
I'm Julian.
I'm Mandrake Jubilee.
Thanks for listening.